Yeah, we were discussing about the function of muscle last class. Today we will see the skeletal muscle, structure of skeletal muscles. There are three layers: epimysium, perimysium, and endomysium. Epimysium, that is the connective tissue that around the skeletal muscle. Then we have perimysium, that there is connective tissue that bundles the skeletal muscle fiber, into a fascicle. So many fascicles that is surrounded by the epimysium. Then perimysium that surrounds the many muscle fiber into a bundle that is called fascicle. And within the fascicles, we have many muscle fiber that is surrounded by endomysium. And this muscle fiber, we have myofibrils, that is the contractile or functional unit of muscle fiber, and then nuclei, organelles, then sarcolemma, that is the plasma membrane of muscle fiber. So over the plasma membrane of muscle fiber, we have the that surrounds the that muscle cell that is surrounds by the loose connective tissue that is over the sarcolemma, that is called endomysium. So there is the skeletal muscle structure. So if we take the muscle cell or muscle fiber that is surrounded by the sarcolemma, plasma membrane of muscle cell, and over the plasma membrane of muscle cells we have that endomysium. So the sarcolemma, that is the plasma membrane of muscle cells, and the muscle cell, it has organelles, lot of mitochondria and nuclei and other organelles, and this myofibrils. So many myofibrils in the muscle cell or muscle fiber, and these myofibrils are built up by the sarcomere. This is the repeating unit of myofibril throughout the myofibril, and this sarcomere. And sarcomere is the functional unit of myofibril, functional unit of muscle cell. That is the contractile portions. And this sarcomere, it will repeat all over the myofibril. So this sarcomere, it is one jet disc to another jet disc, that is sarcomere. And it contains the thick filament, that is myosin, and thin filament, that is actin. And H zone, it is one end of actin filament to another end of actin filament. This area is called H zone. So the A band, this is contain the thick filament. This is A band, anisotropic. And I band, this is contain the thin filament. Thin filament, and that is I band, isotropic. So this A band, this looks like a dark, it is dark A band, dark because it contains the thick filament, and I band, thin filament. So this is thin filament. This dark and thin filament, it will contain all over the muscle fiber because of this structure, and because of A band, light band, and the thick band or dark band, and because of that, it gives the striation of the muscle, the skeletal muscle. So sarcomere, what we have seen, the A band is contain the myosin filament, thick filament, that is A band or dark A band. Then sarcomere, it is one jet disc to one jet line to another jet disc or jet line. So in between, at the center of myosin filament, that is at the center, we have the H zone or H band, and in between at the center we have the M line. This is M line. Then I band, this is contain the thin or actin filament. So actin, that is nothing but the F-actin. It is the polymer of G-actin or globular actin. So these are the G-actin. They form and polymerize and form the F-actin. So troponin have three subunits. The troponin 1, troponin I, troponin T, troponin C. So troponin C that binds with calcium ion. One troponin, they can bind with the 4 calcium ion. Then troponin I, it has high affinity to bind with the actin. And troponin T, it is for tropomyosin, the spelling S-I-N, tropomyosin. So it has a 3 subunit. They can bind with the 3 molecule calcium ion, that is troponin C, troponin I, it binds with actin, and troponin T, it binds with the tropomyosin. So tropomyosin that wraps spirally around the active site. So this is the actin that have the active site where the myosin head can bind, but the tropomyosin, it covers the active sites of actin so that the myosin head cannot bind. So that is the tropomyosin which covers the active site. So as soon as calcium bind with the troponin, they change that tropomyosin, conformational change of tropomyosin occurs and active sites are exposed where myosin head binds and muscle contraction occurs. So during the relaxed stage, the tropomyosin that covers the active site, contraction, it is exposed. So myosin, it has 2 heavy chain, and this is wraps spirally, and at the end of heavy chain, and each end of each chain folded bilaterally into a globular polypeptide structure called myosin head, and 2 light chain of each head. And this actin filament, the myosin head, it drags the actin filament to the middle of the myosin, that is M line, and that is that dragging is called contraction. And the myosin, many of the tail, they bundle together and they form the body. This is called body. The many tail, they bundle together and form the body. So hinge this from this area, the head which is coming out from the body, that portion, that is hinge one way. Each cross bridge, hinge is each cross bridge that is flexible at 2 points. One point is one where the arm leaves the body, this point of the myosin filament, and other where the head attached to the arm. So if we see this structure, hinge region, one side it is attached to the body, and another it is attached to the head. This portion is movable. This is the hinge region. And myosin head, it has a myosin ATPase where the ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate, and that is cause muscle contraction, provide energy for muscle contraction. And this is actin binding site where myosin head can bind with the actin. So that is about the myosin filament. And cross bridges, it is nothing but the protrusion of the head and the arm or the neck from the body. This is the cross bridge. Head and the arm together is called cross bridges. So the myosin filament is made up of 200 or more individual myosin molecule. Myosin filament, this filament, 200 or more myosin individual or single myosin molecule. All together, more than 200, they form the myosin or the thick filament. The tail of the myosin filament bundle together to form the body of the filament. The protruding arms and head together is called cross bridges. So titin that keeps the myosin and actin filament in place. This is the protein, largest protein of our body, one of the largest protein, and that holds the myosin to the Z disc, and another way it holds the actin filament to the Z disc, and it is a springy or elastic protein. And while the muscle contract, the jet jigs, they come together or contract, shortening occurs. This is spring, and the myosin, it helps in the contracting, and the jet discs or the shortening of the muscle occurs. These jet discs, they become shortened or they come closer toward the M line. So during the muscle contraction, we will talk about the sliding filament. So this tighten, they keep the actin and myosin into proper place, and it's like a spring-like protein, and the tighten maintain the structures of the sarcomere that hold it. So that ATPase, it have this ATPase, I told already that it cause hydrolysis of the ATP. Then fan effect. What is fan effect? The greater the amount of work performed by the muscle, the greater the amount of ATP utilization or cleaved to ADP or phosphate, inorganic phosphate. This is called fan effect. So as the muscle contraction, the work load is more, they require more ATP for hydrolysis for providing the energy for muscle contraction. So summary, we talk about the muscle. It has 3 layers, and the perimysium, it contains many muscle fiber, and each muscle fiber is surrounded by the endomysium, and the muscle fiber is having the plasma membrane that is called sarcolemma, and that sarcolemma, it surrounds the muscle fiber, and muscle fiber, it has many myofibrils, and that myofibrils is nothing but the A vein, I vein, or functional unit of muscle fiber. It is the sarcomere, one jet line to another jet line. That is sarcomere, and it contains the thick filament, thin filament, and A vein, dark band or light band. It gives the striation of the muscle fiber, skeletal muscle fiber. And the actin filament, it contains the actin, troponin, and tropomyosin. And when calcium bind with troponin, it causes conformational change of tropomyosin, and then active sites are exposed and muscle contraction begins. So this is about the skeletal muscle structure. So next we will talk about the cross bridge cycle. Thank you.